Hello everyone and welcome to Terraria Calamity Mod. Today I will be playing the Calamity Mod, as you can see in 1.4, which was just released not that long ago, surprisingly. So I intend to more or less go through it as normally would play it. However, I have not really done that much on Terraria 1.4, so I figured, why the hell not try it out with a Calamity Mod? So I will leave a list of mods I am using besides Calamity in the description below. And also make sure to check the description for possible language, blood and gore, as well as a few other things. So for now, let's just hop into single player and see it. Let's check it out. Just ignore those little characters, those are just there, So, classic mode. Let's just do random. Really. Just click randomize a couple times. And there we go. So let's go back. Let's do this. Why not? John Black. There we go. Now, I haven't actually touched X Master mode very much on here, so for now I'm not gonna bother. Alright, looks like I got a good number. Let's do that. And you know what? Let's hit random and see what we get. Alright, looks like we got corruption. So that means Worm, the Eater of Worlds, as well as the Brain of Cthulhu. Oh, and for you guys who more or less do not know what the Calamity Mod actually is, it is more or less a mod that pretty much changes a lot about the game, such as hard mode. What was the end of Terraria at the Moon Lord now ends with the three endgame bosses of Yarhan the Jungle Dragon, Draydon, as well as Supreme Caladimus, but they're right now way in the game. Now, for the most part, as you may have already seen, you get a bunch of stuff to start out with, like a life crystal, as well as a bunch of potions, torches, and some other things to that extent. Also, a thing to note is, I'm not going to be doing any of these because I don't know what 1.4 really has to offer. But if you guys want to see me kill specific bosses regarding these after a certain point, just to check them out really, let me know down in the comments below. But for now, let's go ahead and get started, really. I'm most likely just going to be doing this as more or less as basically just taking my time, really. So I'm more or less just going to be doing my best, just showing you guys what all there is. So really, you're going to be experiencing this all as I go along, and there's the first friggin' death. Thankfully, it's not against the boss, so I respawned pretty quickly. That was another mod I decided to add just in case, just to shorten things out a little bit, and so I didn't have to cut things out very much. So, but for now, just trying to, you know, do things. I'm not really going to be talking a whole lot, as really I'm not one to actually do videos, as this is kind of my starting point of YouTube. So please bear with me. I have never had any kind of video experience in the past. So again, just bear with me, we'll get through this together. But for now, I'm just gonna gather some wood. So, and then more or less just see how things go. How did a tombstone get there? So, oh yeah, this statue is from Fargo's Souls mod. So more or less, I'm going to do this. Get the NPC to spawn, and then he gives you a starter pack. At which point, now I'm going to turn this off, as well as replace the statue because I don't like having these in my inventory because those are just death. So start out with some basic silver tools, no sword, 4 life crystals and mana crystals, along with some other spice of life things, which more or less allow for other things. Also, don't worry about the cheat sheet. I will only be using that if absolutely necessary. Like I say, I cannot get a specific item, or it's completely world generation based. So don't worry about me using that, as I will only use that if I basically cannot get something very specific. But for now, let's go ahead and just start. These insta houses actually require more or less you to place them in blocks. So keep in mind of that, you more or less have to have blocks there, otherwise it simply will not place. So I actually also may very well play a little bit off camera, just to build up my base a little, gather a few ores and such to hopefully alleviate that sort of stuff. To hopefully speed the process of grind a little bit up, as well as potentially get the grinding part out of the way. So that way you guys don't have to sit through watching me kill everything and gather everything. But since it's the beginning and I want to more or less look at things, I figured why the hell not just show you guys everything I'm doing. More or less, for the most part. For the first couple of videos, really. Why? Because really, I just want to talk to people. To really just talk. So, because really, I don't actually get to do, really, this is the first I've done of this, so if you guys want to hear me just ramble on about various things, or stuff like that, then just let me know in the comments below, and I'll more or less deal with that. But for the most part, I'm more or less just not going to be doing very much stuff. I'm going to try keeping these videos as short as I can, as to not bore you. I'm also going to more or less try to have bosses in various videos. Okay, that's a first. Come here. I have never actually spawned that close to the dungeon before. The desert, I mean, before. Anything worthwhile? Just an oasis. But yeah, for the most part, I'm just gonna be just playing this game as a normal person would. Just try to get some progress done, maybe make a video or so about some interesting stuff, like maybe a boss fight, freaking showing off some new things, showing you my struggles. Because, in my opinion, the Calamity Mod, it is one of the best mods, yet at the same time it is also the absolute worst. because for the most part, the boss's healths more or less go to the literal millions after a certain point. While the base Terraria game, the final boss barely scratches a quarter of a million even on Master Mode. So for the most part, yeah. So again, House Builder. You gotta be close enough to it, as well as it has to be in the ground. So like this, gotta line it up correctly, otherwise it just does not like to work. Also keep in mind that this particular mod is quite notorious for extremely irritating and difficult bosses, as well as its loot grind. Thankfully, it gives you certain methods of speeding the process up, like with the time changer and whatnot. But for the most part, you're on your own to pretty much a large extent of what all is available. But thankfully, block replacing is a thing. So that's quite nice. Also, the cool thing about Fargo is it now gives you just a straight up storage heart if you actually have that particular mod installed. Which, frankly, that's a mod I think everyone should really have, because it helps so much. So, for the most part, just stick this stuff like so. Oh, and keep in mind with these storage sections, as long as they're the basic type, more or less you don't have to worry about them. You more or less don't have to worry about them, as they each act as individual platforms, as you can see. However, once you upgrade them in any way, shape, or form, yes, they are still there, but they more or less lose their corporeal form. So basically, even though they're there, you're just gonna instantly fall through, as if someone's holding down the space bar, pressing the down key on a continuous loop. So, for the most part, it really isn't that bad, but it's also somewhat irritating at the same time. So for now, I'm gonna save the for now. Really, it really is quite a lot to do, yet at the same time, not really much to talk about. So, I mean, again, I really haven't touched much on the actual 1.4 version of Terraria, so I really don't know what all to properly expect. I have seen countless videos of people saying that 1.4 is very good, along with the new bosses, but realistically, the farthest I got was the first mech boss, and that was it, before I stopped for a while. I tend to switch on and off between games, so... but yeah. So, for the most part, I have touched quite a bit on the Calamity Mod, but not as of lately. So I have so with the whole Draydon update thing, I really do not know what to expect from that particular boss or really anything of the sort. But for the most part, I know that the bosses have all been sort of reworked to an extent, but are still quite dangerous. But for the most part, I'm not going to touch on the bosses until I know I'm ready. Huh, neat. And while yes, in the Calamity Mod, there is the freaking time changer, which allows for the manual changing of time. So at the basically the earliest of hard mode to an extent, with the defeat of one of the bosses. But for the most part, that's about it regarding that. One thing I like to do is more or less keep the fallen stars and gel on me, because you always are getting them at the freaking start. Especially considering in expert mode, I found that the star cannon, while difficult to get ammo for, is actually quite an effective weapon against Skeletron in expert mode. Because with him, the faster you kill him, the more of an easier time you have to dealing with him. Because instead of constantly wondering, is this going to be the end, you more or less still have to kind of worry about not getting hit, so basically soft locked by him, basically head spinning and soft locking, basically stun locking you of sorts in the corner. This kind of allows you to kill him quite relatively quickly, but for the most part, building up all the stars kind of takes time. Holy crap, that's a good fucking starting that's a really good friggin' amethyst staff. Again, language warning at the beginning. But for the most part, I'd say this is a pretty good start, to be honest. Also, keep in mind with one of the mods, you can actually use this to literally pick up your NPCs. However, if you throw them back down, as well as replace their thing, then you don't have to worry about it. Some NPCs you can actually craft with a few other items into rare loot, or just certain merchants into their loot, just to an extent for free. Like the traveling merchant is one of those, because his shop constantly changes. So by basically you can basically either pick him up or utilize the bed, locking him in a spot where he's constantly on your screen, and just going to sleep until the next day, can easily quickly more or less continue the time. But again, for now, I'm just gonna play the game. So, but for the most part, yes, I haven't really done all that much, but I'll be honest, I'm not exactly good at this whole recording, posting on YouTube sort of deal, so. But for the most part, I'll learn as I go along with the videos I go. So. But for the most part, I think that's a good spot to friggin' end it on. So, more or less, I'll just leave off on a high note and say have a good day, everyone. See y'all in the next one. And hopefully, good things come to you as well as me. Also, yes, that is wing. Yes, that is the wing. That is the wing slot mod. So, yes, I have that because reasons. But anyways, with the death of that bunny, I think that's a good spot to end this video on. So without further ado, I shall see you all in the next one. Peace out.